Hey guys, Buckeye Bar guys. We wanted to thank you guys for tuning in to us here on Buckeye Bar Talk. Great show we got coming up today. We're really looking forward to you guys listening and watching it. But just wanted to remind everybody, just remember to subscribe to the channel, hit the all notifications bell, and that way, anytime a new show comes up, you guys will be alerted to it. And don't forget to like the video and comment on the video. All interactions with us helps us continue to grow, and we appreciate your support. Now to the show.
Welcome back, everybody, to Buckeye Bar Guys here on Buckeye Bar Talk. I'm Mike.
And I'm John.
And tonight's date is Friday, September 16th, 2022. And we are going to be talking about tomorrow's game against Toledo, the Rockets, as they come into Ohio Stadium to play the Buckeyes. So basically, rundown for tonight is we are going to go through just some questions, any lingering questions of just different things for tomorrow that are just things we want to see if we can get answered, that we're hoping to get answered. Then we will kind of go through just our normal talk through of the game of, what we want to see with offensive players, who we think the player of the games will be, breakout players and stuff like that. Then we will move on to different scores, our against the spread predictions, and then we will finish that up against what our score for the Buckeyes game is. So as I said, Toledo's coming in tomorrow. They're 2-0. They've had some big wins against Long Island and UMass. So I don't know how much that really tells people about Toledo, but we know that they have a running quarterback. This is actually the third quarterback we've played this year that can kind of do some stuff with their legs. So, and then, they have a pretty good defensive line from it sounds like, and, a couple of decent players, scattered around the thing. Dallas Gantz returned back into Ohio Stadium. So just initial thoughts, John, before we get into some of our lingering questions as we get into this game against Toledo.
Well, I think you spelled them all out. I mean, their defense is really good. They have statistically the fourth ranked defense in the country. You kind of outlined who they've played, though. They've played nobody.
Yeah,
so you can't, I don't know, when you can't take too much into it. I think they have players on their defense. I know they have a Penn State transfer on their defensive line. They got Dallas Gant as a starting linebacker. I think he's leading the team in tackles. We knew how much potential he had at Ohio State. So they got that guy roaming around. He knows a lot of what Ryan Day tries to do offensively. So that might give him a little bit of a heads up when he sees things. I mean, he saw the team last year, so he might see, if DeJuan's given a certain look or something, there might be a tell that he knows about that, he can try to.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really going to matter that much, though. Like I said, they haven't really played anybody. Quarterback you outline, he's a runner. What is his name? Is Daquan Finn. He's kind of in between Tyler Buckner and James Blackman. He has experience, unlike Buckner, but he doesn't have nearly the experience as Blackman. He's a sophomore, so he played last year. He's their leading rusher and thrower. I don't know what that says about their running game, that the quarterback's the leading rusher through 2 games. And I think it's only 138 yards. So I don't think they'd try to do too much on the ground, but offensively, I don't know if they try to do too much anywhere. I mean, they are only averaging, well, not bad, actually. They're getting the 424 yards per game so far. So their offense is actually kind of dynamic. I mean, again, they play nobody, though. You've got to keep taking that into consideration. So they're a good team. I mean, I think they're probably the best team, at least on their side in the MAC. Maybe in all the MAC, they could win it, but I don't know how they stack up in this game for a full game. I think their defensive line gives some fits early to Ohio State's offensive line, Ohio State's run game in the first quarter. I don't know how challenging it is past that.
Yeah. I think the one thing I'm kind of just looking about with kind of games like this and, lesser Big Ten games that, the transfer portal does make things interesting. I mean, we saw some upsets last week, and you got to think that some of that stuff is because of transfers and stuff like that. You know, I'm not thinking Toledo's going to beat Ohio State by any stretch of any imagination, but the transfer portal does kind of make some of these games just a tad bit more interesting, because when you think about teams like Toledo, I mean, they just in recruiting, they don't get guys like that. And, you know, Dallas Gann ain't going to Toledo out of college or out of high school. You know, you don't get that. And I'm trying to think. Khalil Mack, he wasn't anywhere else prior to Buffalo, right? Or
no, he went to Buffalo. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that was.
Yeah. So you don't get many Khalil Macks, you know, inside, you know, some of these lesser schools. But now with the transfer portal, you get opportunities that stuff like that could happen. And, you know, and I'm not saying Dallas Gann's Khalil Mack, but I'm just saying that he's a big time player that Ryan Day literally said this week during his press conference that, you know, he kind of wished he would have stayed, and, you know, they could have used him. And so, I mean, he's a talent. You said they got a Penn State kid over there. So I just think some of this transfer portal stuff kind of just makes things a little interesting that, you know, especially when fans kind of get down on, you know, some of the, you know, about how, you know, they're not necessarily beating somebody by 40, 50 points or whatever and doing cover spreads. Be like, you know, this isn't the game that it was 4 years ago. Like, this is, it's kind of a different thing. There's some playmakers in there that, you know, could do some stuff. I mean, there are Dallas Gant is a legitimate high level Division FBS, Division 1 FBS playmaker. He was a 5-star kid. So, and he's playing for Toledo now. So, I mean, that's like,
right.
It's just a different challenge. And I think that's kind of making stuff this, you know, a tad bit more interesting. And, so, I mean, just going into kind of our lingering questions, I'll let you start us off. Just, I mean, what do you think we really need to see this week? What would you like to see? Just different things. You know, I mean, we had a couple concerns, little concerns. I mean, we're not really any alarm bells yet, but we did give a couple concerns on our last show. So maybe, you know, just pushing those now forward, you know, just some of the stuff we'd like to see maybe corrected.
Offensively, really, it's just, can you be dominant on the offensive line when you're running the ball? I rewatched the Arkansas State game. I don't know. I saw a lot of negative on the offensive line, like from people throughout, you know, the week and after the game. First quarter was pretty clean, you know, like first quarter, a little bit into the second quarter. So it might have got a little sloppier after that point. But I mean, the offensive line did pretty well early in that game, establishing the run. But you want to be able to, you know, really assert your will the entire time, you know, in the entirety of the game, especially just being Ohio State against Toledo. So, and that's I'm not trying to take anything away from them, but there is a difference of quality of athlete on the team. So yeah, I mean, that's what I'm looking forward to, is just, can we, you know, establish a run and be consistent with it?
Yeah, I agree with that. Couple of things. I definitely want to see, you know, can we get onto you know, running the ball, make sure we're establishing the run. This is not necessarily for last week, but going kind of off the Notre Dame game, you know, I want them to still be clean on penalties. I mean, they had a pretty clean game offensively last week, penalty wise. So is that continuing? I know that, like, I've been going back and forth with the stuff with like JSN and, you know, Julian Fleming. You know, I would like to see them play some to, you know, maybe put them on a pitch count if they are able to play, just because I kind of want to make sure they're got a game under their belts before, you know, Wisconsin. But at the same time, you know, I'm even nervous about that. Like, I don't want them to get hurt yet. So I was like, I've been bouncing back and forth. Like, I was pretty sure prior to Arkansas State that I didn't need to see them to Wisconsin. And then, you know, as we did on the last show, I kind of said, well, I kind of do want to see them now if they're able to see them. And now I'm kind of leaning back to the other way, that I'm like, well, do we really need at least JSN? Maybe if Fleming's ready to get him some game action, like, I'm just like, yeah, do we really need to see him? And so that's just kind of been that. You know, I didn't realize like their punt differential. I was listening to some radio today, and Doug Maurice from Cleveland.com, he was talking, you know, that, you know, last year, you know, for the whole season, they had 70 touchdowns and they punted the ball like 30 times. And so far through 2 games, they have 9 touchdowns and they've punted the ball 10 times. So it's like, I think whether it's they decide they're going to go more of a running game, if that's what Toledo's going to allow them to have, or if they're going to go more, try to get a crisper passing game going on. Because there has been times this year that the passing game hasn't looked as crisp as we were necessarily expecting. That I think a lot of that has to do with the injuries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'd like to see them go through the game and maybe only have like 1 or 2 punts. I think they should be able to establish their will onto Toledo and, get it onto their side of the field and, don't punt it as much. I think they should be able to do that. So I think that's like something I would like to see. Maybe, I would love to see no punts. Score on every play you got, and maybe, couple field goals here and there, but like get it onto their side of the field and maybe be a little aggressive where you can be aggressive on 4th down. And even if you miss a couple, I don't necessarily care. It has been we were talking a little bit earlier through text messaging. It's been kind of weird. It seems like Ryan Day's been a little bit more conservative than he's been in the last few years. That like there's been spots where he's went for 4th and shorts before that he hasn't went with it yet. So, I don't know if that's a new leaf that he's trying to turn over. Maybe he's trying to put the defense in the best positions as possible by punting it. Maybe it's just he doesn't want to show some of his 4th and short plays yet until they get deeper into the season. I guess it could be any of that. I don't know.
You think maybe Jim Tressel did some hypnosis when he was in town for that?
Could have been that too. Jim Tressel, he has a lot of respect for the older coaches. Maybe he's like, man, Ryan, you don't punt it enough. It could be that.
Maybe that's it. Maybe he's just trying to impress Jim. You never know. I know Jim Tressel's not happy with the way you're talking about the punt right now. I can tell you that much. But
the punt's a useful tool when it needs to be. It's just Ryan Day. We've just been more akin to him going for him on a lot of these. I know the one that sticks out is that like 4th and 2 against Notre Dame, but he hasn't had a couple other ones that it just seems like, man, there was times last year he was on his side of the 50 and he even went for it a couple times. And so it's just,
maybe he's just trying to get, Knowles some confidence. Maybe he's seeing if he can trust them. That could be it. I think a lot of it last year was he knew he couldn't trust the defense, so he had to keep going for it. Maybe he's trying to, feel that out right now if he can trust Jim Knowles' defense or not.
He maybe wants to see also if his punter can do it. It's just
and he has.
Yeah. So the punters, he's done very well with his punts, and so yeah, it could be a lot of different things. It's not necessarily a concern, but I would just like to see him if they can not have to punt.
Defensively, my question is, how do you handle any sort of whatever passing strategy they're going to come after you? How do you handle the pass? If they're going to do like little screens or quick throws to the outside, how quickly can you diagnose that that's the game plan and you start pressing a little bit more? The whole secondary, I'm just curious to see how they're all going to handle it. I want to see them keep growing, maybe get a couple turnovers this game. That'd be sweet. Denzel Burke, though, is that is my concern, is if he can really look like the guy we saw last year. And I'm not going to get off on much of a tangent, but I've seen a lot of guys this week saying, well, maybe it was just like product of being a bad defense, and that's why Denzel Burke looks so good. Maybe he's not really as good as what we thought he was last year. Denzel Burke,
he was the one shining. He was the one bright.
Right. David Bell got a couple really short passes that, maybe his stats got a little inflated. It was a lot of nothing against Denzel Burke, but Jahan Dotson didn't do anything against Denzel. Like, Denzel Burke was not overrated in any stretch last year. I think he did get hurt at the end of the season, and I think that's true, but I don't think that this whole theory that he wasn't as good as what we're making him out to be because the rest of the defense was crap, I don't buy it whatsoever.
if he wasn't really as good, I mean,
How bad was the rest of the defense?
I mean, if the defense was, he would still be bad. Like, I don't get that argument. Like if he's not a good player, he'd still be bad on a bad defense. Like,
Right.
Exactly. Like he was one of the few bright spots on the defense last year.
Like he didn't get exposed whatsoever last year.
No, I think he's probably more like what Knowles kind of said in the press conference. It's like a lot of it. Yeah, he's been on an island this year, and he did get banged up towards the end of last season. He got banged up into camp this year, so
yeah.
I don't think he has the reps as necessarily. And I just hope he's not getting in. I'm more concerned right now that he's getting in. I don't want him getting into self-set because, cornerbacks. I mean, you have to have the shortest memory in the world. I mean, even the best cornerbacks in the world, when you think about, Revis and, Lattimore for Ohio State and a couple of the guys that we have, when they talked about Revis Island back in the day, I mean, he still gave up plays. It's just, I mean,
Right.
you just got to forget about him. When you give up the play, you forget about it. And, that's kind of how they have to kind of play. That's why, that's why you kind of like those cocky corners and stuff like that know what they're doing. And, so I'd come, right back with them. I hope Hancock gets to play a little bit. I hope he's healthy enough to start playing because that just gives them more depth there. And you can maybe rest him up a little bit more during the game, Burke, and, give him some breathers here and there. And maybe, and if both JK and Burke were, both JK and Hancock were both healthy, maybe throws a little bit more of a fire under his ass too. And, I mean, that, hey, one of these guys could replace me. And, so, competition's good for stuff like that. So, and outside that, I don't really have any lingering questions. I think they've done really well against quarterbacks so far that can scramble. I do want to see what they, what their game plan is against the slot receiver guy. That kind of hurt us a little bit last week. Maybe they need a lot of that was they kind of over pursued him a little bit when they Eichenberg and Steele on those safeties. Just if they get it to the slot guy, just you got to square the guy up and not let him kind of juke you out.
Linebackers have done really well.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. So, and I think the biggest thing, between turnovers and sacks, I think I want to see more. The tackles for losses are there, and I believe the turnovers are going to get there. I want to see them hit this quarterback a little bit. I'd like to see him get home a few times, maybe create a couple fumbles, and I think a little bit more concerned that I don't think that they've been getting enough sacks through the first two games than I am on the turnover part right now. Because the turnover,
what do they have? 2 in each, 3 in the first game, 2 last week.
I think, and they're getting there a lot. And I know that these guys are doing quick passes and stuff like that, but I'd like to maybe tighten up that coverage just a tiny bit and then let them try to get the defensive line home a little bit, because I think that just creates a lot of different momentum and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of my lingering question.
They had 12 tackles for loss last week, though.
I know, and they are getting there on that stuff, and I love that because last year they were not hitting the tackles for losses at all. They've been it's going through, trying to get past that line of scrimmage with running the ball has literally been going through, it looked like it's like a tarmac or something that's been bombed and you're trying to go through craters. I don't know how else to explain it. I mean, they're doing their job. They're taking the offensive line out of the game. And so, I mean, that's been pretty impressive. So, yeah, I would say that's kind of where I'm thinking about just things I would like to see just continue to progress. I don't think that they've been bad in any aspect of anything. It's just that I felt that they're progressing. They're looking a lot better defensively than they did last year. And now it's take the next step, get ready for Big Ten play.
Okay.
All right. So let's go to offense and then just kind of go through our normal, we'll do our who we think our player of the game are, who we think our breakout player is, and then just kind of somebody that that you're not really expecting or whatever. Or
okay. Player of the game, I'm going to go based off of meaningful snaps here. So this isn't going to be end game statistics or end line, even though he might end up with it. But I think Trey Henderson's going to be the player of the game. I really do think, and I know I love running back, so I always go back to Trey. I just think they're going to really try to establish the run. I think they're a better, more physical team than what Toledo is. Why I know that. And I think they're going to hit some home runs in this game. I think Trey's going to get loose a few times. So I mean, I'm going with, a couple plus 40 touchdowns for Trey on the day, and maybe I'm going to say it's going to get over 100 yards total. $150. Let's go with $150, 3 touchdowns.
All right.
So good game for him.
Yeah, I mean, I was kind of leaning the same way. I think it's going to be a big game for Trey. Just to be a little different, I think Marv's going to have another big game. I think JSN, if he plays, and Julian Fleming, if he plays, they'll be on pitch counts. I think they're going to want to see them kind of early, get a rotation going, and then kind of get them out of the game, just preserve them and then kind of unleash them next week against Wisconsin. But Marv had a huge game last week, and it's just, you see how dangerous him and Buckeye are together, and it's going to be even worse once JSN and Julian Fleming get back into this game. This is going to be good luck covering just these kids. And I think whatever the defense is, the one thing I want to see, and I don't care what it is, whatever the defense gives them to start the game, I want Ohio State just to hit it so hard that it forces them out of it. And I want them to kind of, if they're going to be back off their feet and they're going to try to drop guys, go to Trey, go to Mayan as quick as possible and just kill them and force them to bring guys into the box. And, if they got guys up in the box, then, beat them deep. I mean, nobody could cover Marv one-on-one last week. And just
I don't know if there's anyone in the country that's going to cover Marv one-on-one.
And you really can't cover a Buka one-on-one. You just, if they're going to try to bring guys up, just see it. And that's just Ryan Day needs to be the play calls. And, CJ Stroud's a smart kid, and just be like, all right, they're going to try to come up on us to make sure we can't run on them. Let's kill them deep and force that back.
Play action over the top, man. Just all day long.
Yeah. So I think I'm agreeing with you. I think it could be Henderson, but I'm going to say it's going to be Henderson or Marvin. Just whatever way that Toledo's going to play it, then just kill them with the guys that you have on the other way. And with this team, you should be able to diagnose it quick and then just take it to them on whatever way that they're going to try to stop you. Beat them the other way because you could do it.
Yep. Breakout surprise offensive performance of the game. I'm going to go back to the well again like last week. I'm going to say it's going to be G. Scott Jr. He really showed some blocking chops last week that he's kind of getting into a feel that he knows what he's doing as a tight end. I think he's going to see, as much or more playing time this week. And I think they're going to go to him a couple times, and he's going to get 1, if not 2 touchdowns, but he's going to get a lot of receptions this week. I do believe.
Yeah, I'm kind of going to go with
by a lot of receptions, probably like 2 or 3 for a tight end at Ohio State.
I don't even know if this is, what's our other category we do? What's off for the players? What's the next one after the breakout?
Like a bold prediction.
Bold prediction. Okay. I'm trying to think which way I want to go with this, because I want to go with the other tight end. I think Cade Stover is proven himself to be just ungodly. Yeah. I don't know if he considers him a breakout player right now because he's showing it the last 2 weeks. So I'm going to go with the bold prediction with him. My breakout player is not necessarily a breakout, one player. I think it's kind of the offensive line as a whole. And it's not even that I think that they've been bad or anything like that. They've been really good. And CJ Stroud's been really clean, and they are run blocking a lot better at this point than they were last year. So, right. I just think they're going to continue to progress, and they are getting. I think that they're gelling. They're when you think of a typical offensive line, that it takes a few games to really get the gelling down, and then I think they're just going to be what you think about come mid-October. I think they're going to be on all. I think they are going to be the best offensive line in the country, and that I'm really seeing a lot of that. And I just think it's going to be another game. I think CJ Stroud's going to be very clean, and they're going to open up some big holes for the running backs this week. And I just think so. As a whole, I'm going to say the whole offensive line, because I just been. I know some people. I know Dave said that they're not there yet. I don't think they're there yet neither. But I've just been really impressed with them so far. I think that toughness is back, and that just seems like they were lacking last year.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. All right, so a bold prediction for the offense. Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to. Oh my gosh, he's going to score. He's going to score the first touchdown of the game.
Yeah,
that's not really bold. I don't know. It's going to be like he's going to score from like 65 yards out.
Yeah, I think he's going to
first score of the game.
I was kind of thinking that too. I think he's gonna play, and this might be his only play that he's in the game. I could see him like very early doing one of those Utah touchdowns. Like this is like just it's a 60, 70 yarder or whatever. And it's like, all right, we saw him. Let's get him out.
Get him out of here. So that's my weak bold prediction of the week.
I'm gonna say Cade, and my bold is I think he's gonna get a touchdown. And I think, and I know this doesn't sound like a lot, I think he's going to have 5 catches. Like, I just think that
that's a ton for an Ohio State tight end in a game.
I just think I think CJ Stroud is looking for him at times. He's throwing to him more than I was expecting him ever to throw to him. So I think he's going to get open for a touchdown this week. And I just think that he's going to have a big game when you think about what normally the tight ends do, because it's like the guy is forgotten about because they just got so many weapons and he's just wide open. And I think he's going to get one of those touchdowns where they're going to be like in the red zone or close to the red zone. And he's just going to be wide open in the middle of the field for 6. And like,
well, I thought it was interesting during CJ's press conference that he said that he has to do a better job of taking what the defense is giving him. And that could be so many different things for CJ Stroud. That could be that he's not dumping it off to, the running backs enough, that he's not looking for an outlet at the tight end enough. That could be that he's not running enough when it's there for him. So I think the fact that he said that opens up a whole world of possibilities to what he's seeing and what he's working on. And one of those things could be, quick check downs to tight ends.
Yeah.
So I think you're right.
Yeah, I agree. I just think I've been through 2 games. I just have been super impressed with Cade. I mean, I know that he's like Mr. Everything right now. I mean, I was super impressed as him as a linebacker last year, but it's like,
right. That's everything. Yeah.
I mean,
he's a good dude.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely enjoy watching him play. All right, on to the defensive side of the ball.
Player of the game. I can't remember what I said last week. I said Sawyer or Tuimulau. I'm going to say Michael Hall. I kind of feel like that's the safe pick anymore, but I feel like one of those guys are going to, break out and start getting home and get some sacks. But the kid has shown just to be such a mismatch on the inside. I got to go with him. So Michael Hall Jr., he'll get multiple sacks in this game. I'm going to say he gets 2 sacks and he's going to keep the, TFLs going as well.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of want to go with the guy I went with last week, Tommy Eichenberg. I just don't think he's like anybody can just get past that kid now. But I'm gonna go something different. No, I'm not. I'm gonna go Eichenberg. I'm gonna save the guy that I'm thinking for something else different to be. I'm gonna go for one of the other ones.
How good has him, Steel Chambers, and Cody Simon played this year? I think Cody had a rough first game, but he looked great.
Yeah, I mean, they're very impressive. You can tell there's an adult in that room teaching them stuff because they're feeling a little bit better. Like, I'm sorry, like it's just different. I mean, we've seen, Al was okay his first year, and I don't know, maybe that's Madison had some pointers to him that this is kind of how we should. It just seemed like they played off a lot better with the defensive line that year. It's just,
yeah.
And they were all right in 20, but it's just, there was not enough games, and I don't know like how well I judge them. They were bad last year. And
terrible last year, man. Terrible.
And it's just, again, it's just not so, it's it just is weird when the running backs and tight end or the running backs and the the linebackers just don't have good seasons because there is what you're expecting because just that's so much bread and butter Ohio State and but all right.
So surprise guy, which he kind of was last week, so this might be kind of cheap, but I'm going to say Caden Curry. I think he's going to get in earlier in the game. I think he's a difference maker, even if he isn't, first team right now, that he is a true freshman, that he's not quite, up to what he's going to be as far as physically ready in the next couple years. I think he makes a difference right now. And I think, Toledo might be the type of team that physically he can still make a difference against their ones. And that's not, I mean, we've seen a lot of good, true freshmen come and go at Ohio State. So, I mean, he might do that against Big Ten competition as well. But I think he's going to be one of those guys that very disruptive in the run game, going to get, maybe a sack in there, hopefully. A couple TFLs though.
Yeah. We've already kind of talked about him, so I'm going to go with my breakout. I think that he's going to take I think he heard some of the noise this week, and I think Denzel Burke's going to have a really good game. I think he's going to be, I don't know who's necessarily if Toledo's receivers are any good, but I think he's going to have a confidence booster this week that he's going to play. It's going to feel like more from last year for him. I think he's going to, he heard some of the comments this week, so I think he's going to, he's really going to come out and play very hard, and I think he's going to have an interception in this game at least, and I think he's going to be very locked down.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think at least one interception for Denzel Burke. I think he's going to have a very good bounce back this week. And then bold prediction is going to be, this is going to kind of take a few of them, so sorry if I step on it here. I think it's just going to be a total defensive domination in this game. I believe they're going to have 5 sacks and at least 5 sacks and at least 3 takeaways.
Yeah, I was going to go with the not necessarily. Like I said, I want to see them get back into sack. I think they're going to get to both, but I could see the 3 takeaways. I am going to go turnovers, and I think there's going to be a big turnover game. I just think that they're going to play that they're going to really put a lot of pressure onto Toledo to try to make plays, and I think this quarterback will probably try to make some plays with his feet. I think he's going to put the ball on the ground at least once or twice. And I could see a pick or two, and I think we're going to get a defensive touchdown this week. I do think that. So I guess I'm going to go with that. They're going to look really good on turnovers, and one of these are going to the house.
Yep, I agree.
All right, scores or the spread.
All right, let's look around the Big Ten. All right, first game on the docket. UConn against the mighty Wolverines in Ann Arbor. Michigan is favored by 47.5. That is a huge spread. I mean, they definitely could cover it. I don't know if they're going to keep the starters in long enough to do so. UConn's another really bad team, though. So you know what? I'm going to say that Michigan will cover the spread.
I don't think they're going to cover it.
And close to a 50-point win.
And the reason why I don't think they're going to cover it is I thought last week they were up 42-0 going into halftime, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna easily cover this game, and then they didn't cover the game. I think he's going to play it very similar to last week. I think they're going to blow the doors off of them, and I think they'll give up a couple cheap touchdowns in the second half, and really maybe only score once or twice like they did last week. So, I think they're going to score over 50. They've scored over 50 every game so far this year. It's just I don't think, I think probably UConn will end up with somewhere between 10 and 14 points, and that will probably that will knock them out of the cover. But that's just my feelings. But I do think it's going to be a blowout.
Oklahoma versus Nebraska at Nebraska. Oklahoma is giving 11 points. I think Nebraska actually is going to beat the spread. I don't think they're going to win the game. I just can't, just how the year started, I can't give them that type of boost, but I think they're actually going to keep it within like a 1 score.
So I've been going kind of back and forth with this this week. I think Oklahoma is going to win the game, but I think there is going to be some kind of circle the wagons type thing for Nebraska that a lot's happened this week. I'm going to say that Oklahoma's going to beat them by 10, so they're just going to miss it. They're going to beat them by 9 or 10, I think, and they'll just miss the cover, but I think that they'll still win. It's just I think Nebraska is going to come hard to play hard.
Okay. Northwestern, Southern Illinois, there is no spread right now, so that actually with Northwestern, I probably got to see what the spread would be before I would say. I think Northwestern will win the game. I'll say that, but I don't know if they'll cover or not.
Yeah, they'll win, but I don't know what they'll win. But like you said, who knows what the spread will be? So we'll say that they'll win.
Indiana, Western Kentucky. Indiana's home, favored 6.5. They're both 2-0. I don't like Indiana ever, so I'm going to say Western Kentucky will beat the spread, but they will not win the game. So Indiana will win.
Western Kentucky's going to
win by like 3.
Western Kentucky's going to beat them.
I can see it, man. I don't like Indiana. Tom Allen, I think, is the biggest fraud in all of college football.
No, Western Kentucky is going to beat them. I just have that feeling, so I'm going with them.
Rutgers at 2-0, going over to Temple. Rutgers is an 18-point favorite. I don't like these spreads, man. I think Rutgers wins, but I don't think they're gonna win by 18. I just haven't seen enough of them yet to believe that they're going to. So I could be wrong.
What's Temple's record?
They're 1-1. Let me see how they match up. Well, Temple. I don't know. Actually, no. I guess I could see this. I mean, Rutgers. Yeah, Rutgers gets a lot more yards. They get a lot more points per game. They give up less yards per game, up less points per game. So, yeah, I guess I said they're not going to cover. So I'm gonna stick with it. They're not going to cover the spread.
It's 18. You said
18.
I mean, that still seems like a lot for Rutgers to go, blow somebody out like that. But I'll go with it. They're going to cover. I think they'll score. They'll beat them by 20.
All right. Penn State heading down to Auburn at 3:30 CBS game. Penn State's favored by 2.5. I think Auburn's going to win this game outright.
I think Auburn's looking for an excuse to fire their coach. I don't think their boosters want them to win this game because I think they want to get rid of that coach. Actually, the thing about Penn State is I think
they beat Ohio, Mike.
They are.
The Bobcats are not Frank Solich's Bobcats.
I think Penn State is, I hate to say it, it's time to move on from Clifford. Give these freshmen a chance. They have a good freshman. Their freshman running back's really good. And, Allard's going to be really.
Yeah, they always have a good running back. They never have a line.
I think Penn State's going to beat them. I think they're going to beat them by 7 to 10.
Okay. I mean, fair enough. I don't see it. Minnesota against Colorado. Minnesota is a 27.5-point favorite at home.
Colorado sucks.
They stink. Why not? Minnesota's looking pretty good this year. We'll give it to them.
Yeah. I don't know if Colorado's going to score on them. I just think that.
I don't think anyone has. I mean, Minnesota's been good this year.
Yeah, I think they're going to just. And I think Ibrahim's going to. They're going to bury them. They'll beat them by. I think they're going to beat them by 30 plus. So I definitely think they're going to cover.
Wisconsin against New Mexico State. Wisconsin's a 37.5-point favorite at home. Big bounce back win for Wisconsin. I mean, I don't know if I like their offense against teams that are anywhere near equal to talent as Wisconsin or greater, but I like them against New Mexico State, and Wisconsin usually puts the hammer down in these games. So
yeah,
that's a big spread. That's 38 points. You know what? I'm going to say they're not going to cover that.
I don't think they're going to cover, but it doesn't mean I think they'll blow them out. It's just I don't know. I don't like that spread at all. I mean, I know Washington State's better than New Mexico State, but there was points of that game last week that Wisconsin didn't look like they belonged on the same field as Washington State, and that shouldn't be said ever.
All right. So we'll skip us for now. Michigan State traveling out to Washington. Washington's a 3.5-point favorite.
Penix has been good. And
Yeah,
Penix
give me Michigan State in this game.
Yeah. And that's out in Washington.
Win outright in Washington.
I think it's going to say a lot. This game is actually going to say a lot to me how I think about Michigan State this year, because I've been kind of unsure about them because I haven't really gotten a big opportunity to watch them play. We'll get to, I mean, I know they'll be on the same time as the Buckeyes, but we'll actually have a TV dedicated to them this week. Like, I want to go Big Ten here, but I kind of, well, you say 3.5.
3.5.
Washington beats them, but they don't cover. I think they'll beat them by a field goal.
This is hilarious. At Iowa versus Nevada. Iowa, now maybe because it's a night game at Kinnick, they're a 23-point favorite.
No, they can't score that many points. How can you give a team that can't even score 23?
They can't score 23 points. How the hell? Like, what makes them think like that Iowa's even going to put 23 points on the board, let alone that they could beat a team by 23 points? So
yeah. They win like 13, 14 to
10
7.
to 6, something like that. Iowa. I don't know. It's a night game at Kinnick, maybe.
Their offense is just garbage.
Maryland night game at home against SMU. The Ponies. Maryland's only a 3-point favorite in this game. I'm going to say Maryland covers.
Yeah, they'll cover. I mean, the Ponies have been looking okay this year, though, aren't they? Undefeated. Like, I think they've been like
they're 2 now.
Somebody's gotta quit punishing the Ponies for the cheating they did of yesteryear. This is all legal now. One of these conferences want to bring Big 12. I don't know why this is not on their phone with them. They're like, you know what? Come on, let's come back. And yeah, I mean, I'm more excited about them than freaking Houston. Like,
right. All right. So we're going national now. I mean, there's some decent games out there. Like Utah's playing San Diego State, USC's playing Fresno State. So there are some decent ones, but we're just going to go for the big primetime, game. Texas A&M versus the U. It's at College Station. 6-point favorites. I'm going to go first. I think Texas A&M is going to have a bounce back. I think they're going to win. I don't think they're going to cover, though. I mean, I've been going back and forth with this. I think it's going to be like a 3-point win.
My head is telling me that A&M's going to just blow Miami out. Like, this seems like a got you spread that, it's only a 6-point favorite, and they want to make you believe Miami is closer to being back than they really are. So I'm going to get caught up here. I'm going to lose this game. I know it, because A&M's going to beat them by like 2 touchdowns. But the U outright.
I will see. I mean, if they win this game on the road outright, I mean, people are going to talk.
I always get caught up every year. It's like I see that they start off good, and there's that game, and it's like, this is the game that they're going to prove that. And then they're going to go beat Clemson. They're going to be the best team in the ACC, and I always get caught up in it. So, I'm going to lose this one. I know it, but I'm going to go with them.
I like it. Okay, so that brings us to Ohio State versus Toledo. Horseshoe, 7 p.m. on Fox. Presumably, is Gus and Joel going to call this, or are they calling?
I'm sure they're calling OU Nebraska. We'll get probably Brock, but Fox has a good 3:30 game too. I think the Oregon BYU. So we're probably getting. I don't know if we're going to
get the C team.
Yeah, maybe we're getting them, or maybe they'll let Brando and Spencer call Fox game. So
I just upset myself by realizing that. Anyway, so Ohio State is a 31-point favorite. Ohio State has not covered the spread yet. You're well aware of that as well as I am. I think that's going to change, even though this might be the best team they've actually played this year so far. Sorry, Notre Dame, not sorry. But I think they're going to win 56-6. I think they're going to give up 2 field goals again. I don't think they're going to give up a touchdown. I think their offense is going to be clicking. And it's almost one of those points I think they might even get up to 63. I think they're going to try to bury these guys and get the offense off the field quickly.
Yeah,
Get the first teamers out there, I should say.
I kind of feel that way. I'm gonna go 10 for Toledo. I think they'll get 3 against the real competition, and then they'll get a garbage touchdown somewhere in the second half. I think the Buckeyes are going to
get a touchdown. They're going to do it the Iowa way, and they're going to get 2 safeties in the
They could. I hope not. And I'll be really mad at the Iowa State offense. No, they're going to do it the touchdown way. They are going to. I think the Buckeyes are going to beat them 52-10. That was what I'm thinking. So I think they will cover, and they'll have a field goal in there somewhere, and 7 touchdowns. So
okay, yep, I like it. All right, what's the victory shot?
I think we're gonna go with we're gonna do Blanton's this week. It's been a couple.
Bring out a couple months. Bring out the ponies for the ponies, huh?
Yeah, it's been a couple months since I've done a Blanton's drink, so we'll do Blanton's. Got some we got a couple big name ones too for later down in the year. Gonna probably go with a couple of those as the year goes on, but Blanton's will be a nice nice little maybe 2 fingers. I don't know. We'll
nice little nightcap.
Yeah, nice little nightcap. It starts with a beer, ends with a bourbon. That's usually how it goes. So that's how we like it.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you everyone you got anything else? Sorry, I'm kind of jumping the gun there.
Nope, I'm good.
All right. Sorry, premature. Thank you everyone for stopping out tonight to the Buckeye Bar. I'm John.
And I'm Mike.
OH.
IO. Go Buckeyes.
Go Buckeyes.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's Buckeye Bar Guys on Buckeye Bar Talk. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that all notifications bell so you see when new content is added, and please remember to like and share so we can grow our audience. Don't be afraid to comment. We want to know what you're thinking, and we want to know what content to add for you guys. OH.
IO.